I'm not really interested, strictly speaking, about piano playing as such. My mentor in London, Peter Feuchtwanger, once said, "I'm not teaching piano, I'm teaching people." And I like to adopt the same credo. I feel that we have a lot, as you noted yourself, you said it yourself, so-called old-fashioned teaching, which is orientated in result for any cost. And this is something which I'm not particularly aiming for. The result I'm looking for is through this work, which I do parallel to teaching the piano, is for people to find themselves in their core, in their center, in what they really are, in their quality. Because many, not only young people, even older, but particularly young people, are looking around around themselves for who they really are. And very often they bypass their own selves, and they create all kinds of self-images and live through this mask of self-image, which are not really, that's not what they are, who they are. So in a way, they protect themselves with the self-image, with the mask, but at the same time, they suffer because they cannot really express from the center of their being. And of course, now we come to the point where it has to do something with music. Because if we cannot express ourselves from the center of our being, we cannot create musical expression. Because musical expression cannot be a mask and cannot be created through a mask. I mean, it can, but we will notice that it is not really genuine. Try to feel how you are, because we say good, bad, but what is inside that, you know? What is the real feeling? Like we did yesterday, you know, when you were saying very clearly, foggy, fresh, tired, strong. This is how you sense yourself. When you say just good, it can be true, it cannot be true. Because very often we are used to just say, I'm good, thank you very much, you know, to stop asking. So try just to feel how you are today with this new weather, with the rain. How did that affect your mood? How did that affect your thinking, your feeling? Just give it a thought about.
My mind is a bit foggy.
Foggy? Uh-huh. Is this unusual state for you? Is this like a new state, new mood you're discovering in you?
Yes, yes.
It's good. It's not bad. It's very good. No. You see, because what happens, I will say that to you, because you come from a different culture. We are all European here, except you. You come from China, Hong Kong, but it's China. You have a certain set of rules in every culture. We have also our set of rules, and it shows here. They said bad weather. It's not bad weather, it's just weather. It's just different weather. But the culture tells us the sun is good weather and that rain is bad weather. But if rain was bad weather and we would say we can cancel it, we would never have any crops. Nothing would grow. So the nature, you are the nature specialist in this group of ours. The nature says, finally good weather, I'm getting water and rain, you know? See, it depends from which side you look at things. And what is happening for you is that the set of rules which were guiding you in life are now opening up to different rules which you're observing with Slovenians and Albanians and all kinds of people here, and Croatians, which are not in the group, but they are outside in the course. And so you get many new impulses. And of course that feels like confusion, but it's actually opening up the world to new visions. Yesterday you said that beautifully, you said, now I have the vision. You see, now you get in this confusion many new visions, which is very good.
And I felt refreshed. This one.
Refreshed.
Yeah.
Good.
What is happening here is not really a method to teach the music or to teach the piano. It is something which I was lucky enough through some things I had to resolve for myself in my life, particularly the death of my father before I was born, that at some point in my life I looked for psychotherapy, for help. And I found it in London in the person of Hilmar Schonauer, who is a therapist working with a very, very holistic method, including very thorough knowledge of psychology, but also including knowledge of old, particularly Eastern philosophies and methods of meditation. Involves knowledge of how the energy works for us, so we would call it bioenergy. But what is different in him from the usual bioenergetic worker is that he does not pretend that he is helping with his energy to his students, clients, patients, but he is teaching us how our energy works for ourselves and how we can learn to use this knowledge for our better functioning. So all this learning has happened because I needed it in order to survive in a way. To survive and be more healthy in my soul and of course eventually also body.
What do you call my practicing was not so good?
I made a lot of mistakes and more than usual.
Yes?
Yes.
I know we feel this way about practicing, most of us, but in reality, very often when our inner soul make a step forward in our development, our physical skills, our knowledge how to play, and in life is the same without the piano, it cannot follow yet. So although we already understand more than the day before, we play not so good as yesterday. You need to also accept that sometimes when we play really badly, with many mistakes, it's because something new is going to grow in our playing, in our understanding of the music. So maybe it was not so bad you're practicing, only you didn't know what is happening. Huh? You said you feel a little bit scared. What of? You also said you have a little fear. Do you know what of? Or is it just fear generally?
I think that because I'll have to play and...
Who says you have to play?
Oh.
Aha, that's a difficult one. Marinka, the girl Marinka I know yesterday said very eagerly, "Can I have a lesson tomorrow?" So nobody said, "You have to play." It's your wish.
Yeah.
Huh? But yes, of course, we are excited, and fear is part of what we didn't have chance to work yet with, and also it's not possible to get rid of all of it in 1 week, but we see what we do these days.
Some things which I experienced and learned there, because after my own therapy was more or less not completed, but I could have finished it, I decided to continue working with Hilmar and learn from him more and more things in workshops and in individual sessions. And then I noticed, I was teaching in London at that time privately and at a college, I noticed that quite unwillingly, things that I learned there have started entering my teaching approach, you know? And I noticed that they actually enhance the, let me say, the development of my students. And from there on, this workshop started developing, which I have now been doing for 20 years.
You see, what you're bringing out is wonderful, because you're bringing out your old patterns. There's nothing wrong with that, because we all have patterns of life, but we need to examine them. So, like what you just said, you have a pattern, I will do something and then I will regret it. It's not necessary to think that beforehand, because if you think that beforehand as a pattern, the chances are that you will do something and then regret it, even if it's not necessary to regret it. Now, it's also interesting we will not work on that, but think about each of you what you said, inventing a fear for Cherry, what that says about yourselves and about your own fears. What it means to lose, what it means a tree to fall, what it means to parents to bring an order in your life and say you must, I have to play, parents calling and say you must come home. The fear of hands being injured. We say a lot about ourselves in this, what we invent. Because we are just playing around with that, it's like throwing it in the middle and having fun with it in a way, but it's also serious in the sense that we can learn something about ourselves. And looking at fears in this way makes them less strong, less potent. They have less power over us. Usually the fear itself is not so bad as we are afraid of the fear, because it is very often also physically an unpleasant feeling. So we're trying to hide away the fear we have. Once we look at it, it's much easier to carry.
I started in Grožnjan in Croatia, where this Jeunesse Musicale camp is. And then I did several here and there and everywhere, and somewhere a little bit more classically, musically orientated, but always with some sauce over it of special things. And then I transferred to the island of Hvar, where I found a new home for my workshop, thanks to the then mayor of the town of Hvar, Milan Lakoš, who is also in charge of the music festival there. And now I am here in Poreč in the summer with my two younger colleagues who used to be a little bit my students before.
The relationship with Marina is very particular. I met her when I was 17 years old, and I was about to quit piano. I somehow ended up at her masterclass, and I ended up in the workshop. And since then, I'm still playing. So that was very important for me, and I blame her that I'm a pianist today. That's my job, and that's my life. I don't really blame her. I'm thankful.
Now, first, before you start, get a feeling for your spine, because we're all sitting a little bit like that, and just get a feeling for your whole length of spine. Starting from the bottom, and just imagine you're playing a scale on your vertebrae to the highest point, which is your head. Without holding it with your muscles, just rely on your bones, without taking that attitude which, when somebody says, keep straight, and then we do this and we make ourselves stiff. That's not necessary. Just have a comfortable feeling about the straightness. And for you, Nates, it will be easier if you do not reduce your space with your hands here. You see, because as soon as we do this, the space is already reduced. So open up the space either like this, or with Cherry who had the hands here. Also, you don't need your hands to sit. We will not sit for 4 hours like Tibetan monks. We were just doing it about 10 minutes or so you can accept that. Feel the energy. Just don't do anything right now. Just watch the girls with their hands. Don't change anything, just watch the girls. See? The hands have a shape. Different, but the hands have a shape. And now watch the three boys. Their hands have no shape and no energy. They're just hanging. Now that's interesting. You see, whatever you feel, just feel your hands and your arms, how you brought into the idea of relaxation something which is, ugh. But this is not absolute necessity. I'm just pointing out something to you, right? Because we have so many behaviors in our body. The body language tells us a lot about. As soon as somebody does this, you see, the body is saying something. Or we are saying something to the body, and then the body says, oh yeah, it's all blah. You know, it's not, I'm not active, it's all like just hanging. If you have the right feeling in the body, which corresponds to your feeling in your soul, you will be more able to bring out also on the instrument the interpretation you want. But if the body behaves completely different from what the expression of the music is, it's going to be hard to bring the two together. You know, I can't say, I love you. I can say, I love you. In that sense, right? It's important what we do with our bodies.
The workshop of Professor Marina Horak, it's about the relaxation, meditation, and exercises, breathing exercises that could bring me to a much easier interpretation on my instrument, in piano. And in the beginning, I would, realistically speaking, that in the beginning I was not believing about something meditation would happen, but from the first session that we had, it was quite enjoyable, and in the end I felt really completely different, and brought me a very different dimension.
If I wanted to put it in a nutshell, what I find the most important thing is to help the young people, and that can go from very little ones, very young children, to young grown-up students, is to give them a means, a way how they can regain their feeling of autonomy, of their own authority. Because our whole civilization and upbringing at home and education in school are very much geared towards completely taking away the autonomy, the personal will. And by will, I do not mean rebelling, because that already is the lack of the will that creates the rebellion. But the real feeling of, I am this and I want this, or I need this, and to be able to state that quite independently of all the other influences.
Just make a contact with a stone. Don't think about it intellectually, just watch it and just get a feeling about the shape of the little stone you chose, or the shapes inside, or the shape, or the color, whatever. Just kind of more of a feeling connection, and then let go as the music starts. But choose one thing, one thought, one insight, or one feeling, whatever, either from today, from the breathing, or from yesterday's meditation. Let's say if one of you remembers, my back and the breathing out, or my breath was going to the horizon, or something that you remember from yesterday, just like that. Don't go, what am I going to choose? Oh, not this one, or maybe. Yeah, you see, again, you have a possibility of first choice now. Just whatever comes to you as a memory, just as the music starts, link into that thought, and then let it go, and allow again your consciousness to freely give you information. From the deeper layers, we usually say unconscious, I say deeper layer of consciousness, allow the thing to swim on the surface so that you can hear them, see them, think them. And then again afterwards we will talk about it like we did yesterday, and hopefully transform some of it into music.
very simple things happen, like students, even in piano lessons, which are much more classical, of course, because they need to learn how to play the piano. It's not enough just to do the meditations and forget everything else. But they play something and then they look at me. It's like always this look for confirmation of outside. There is this expectation of being ordered something to do. Even little girl today said, I have to play this afternoon. She asked me for the lesson herself, so nobody imposed on her that she has to play, and still this pattern is there. See, that even when it is our own decision, we delegate it imaginarily to somebody else and say, we have to, I must. So all these things are what I'm trying to address, sometimes with very easy games, sometimes just with dialogue and talking about things, and sometimes with deeper meditation where people really go inside themselves and find from the deeper layers of the consciousness their own knowledge about themselves. Also the collective knowledge in the sense of Jungian collective comes up to the surface and they can start thinking it, they can formulate it with that part of the mind which is responsible for bringing out thoughts in words, and of course then for me eventually also in movement and in playing and improvisation and the pieces. Each of you will go to the piano and make an improvisation on what you wrote down, and only afterwards you will tell us what it is. And all the others will get up. Big work to do. Get up. Don't look at me like that. It's okay. And you just allow yourself, your body, to dance whatever you hear. It doesn't matter if you do not understand with words. Allow your deep imagination just take you in the movement with each improvisation and get your own understanding of what you're hearing. And take your stone with you and put it on the piano. That is your score.
Marina shows you and gives you tools to accept the fact that being lost, it's not something bad, that it's okay with it. And when you accept it, you can, if you transfer it into music or to words or to poetry, to picture, you can give something with that. And you feel you're not alone, you have a group of people that accepts you, that understands you, and you just suddenly feel you are not alone, which is a very good feeling.
I think that here is the point is that you have to accept yourself like you are, and it's not important that you have to be like other people want to be, and I learned that here.
What we have not experienced ourselves, we cannot teach. It's impossible. Now, that does not mean that I cannot teach a piece I have not played myself. That's okay. I can do that. Many teachers say no. They say they have to play themselves. But in terms of what we're talking about here, this approach of really addressing the human being and even creating this intimacy where these human beings, who they are, come in this contact with me, either in a group situation or an individual situation, there's quite a lot of intimacy in that. Like there is also in therapy, although this I would not pretend to call it that I'm a therapist in the strict sense of the word, but it has therapeutic moments, of course. That you cannot do unless you have experienced it yourself. Now, somebody who has not been through such a personal development course, and which is quite hard work, will have difficulty accessing this kind of things. I feel that it is not easy to learn from books, from studying, how to read other people's inner life or souls. I am not intruding. I am not saying, give me, tell me. It's always allowed, but there is a flow, a symbiotic flow is happening on the mind level, and of course that includes the feelings, where I very often ask the questions which then activate the continuation of the process in a student, you know, and I feel where they need to go, or where, like for instance, if I just take the example from this morning, when the group of the 6 were meditating, I had images of each of them as well. And in some cases, those who have then expressed some things to me, it showed that my image, which I had with my intuition, was corresponding to their story.
So I had the idea to do a short image meditation with the support of some music which you don't have to pay any attention to, just as a background. It's just a relaxing music. And I will give you the exercise, which you will do standing up. It will last for about 10 minutes only. And each of you will, in standing position, imagine yourself as a tree, paying attention to the roots, to the body, what's it called, to the trunk, and to the crown, and see what kind of tree you see when you think of yourself as a tree. That does not mean you have to know the name of the tree. It's not a lesson in biology. You can invent a tree. It does not have even to correspond in colors to the nature, but it can. So in this exercise also you can, I said invent, but it's not quite right. You can teach yourself, or rather you can learn to discern what you would like to invent, like saying, oh, I want my tree to be like this, or letting this go, and you just allow, like in the meditation, an image of a tree to come forward for you and teach you something about yourself.
I had lots of fruits, lots of peaches in my. And I was not as thin as the ordinary peach tree, but a little bolder. How do you say?
Stronger, fatter.
Fatter, yeah.
I don't know how you say. A fat tree.
And a little story just went through that. Lots of, people started to come to take some peaches, and I was giving with happiness. But after lots of people were coming and were shaking me like that, they were fighting to get peaches. Then after just a piece of land around me started to quake, something like that, and just I started to fly with, tree, and the piece of land started to fly, and I was giving from the air to people. It was better for me to give peaches.
The space was square, not round.
No, round it was.
The space was round.
Yeah.
So you felt better when you were by yourself deciding what you want to give. How did that make you feel when they started fighting around you and
taking and were damaging me.
Yes.
Yeah, giving damage.
I think you understand the image very well. It has to do only on the surface with other people. It's how you allow that people take too much from you. And then you start protecting yourself. Because, of course, if they will just take and take, that's too much. Okay, so you're flying off, but you took the earth away with you. Yeah, the piece of land.
Yeah.
And then you could decide what you want to give. That's the correct attitude in life. Otherwise, you become a victim of others. Good?
I find that is maybe very important because it creates a safe space. It creates a contrary of what one feels at first, thinking, oh my God, somebody's going to know what I think and feel inside. No, it actually does create safety, feeling, I'm not alone in this. Somebody else understands me. It's okay to cry, it's okay to laugh, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to say, to be really angry about something. And many people are not ready for this, to take on other people's difficult moments. That particularly applies to pain. Most people cannot face their own pain. They have their souls create all kinds of calisthenics, acrobatics to hide their own pain under some barrier, under some lid, or mask it with something else. And it is difficult to face one's own pain. Without any doubt, that is one of the difficult things for humanity. It's more acceptable in our culture to accept physical pain, but soul pain is not acceptable, still not. And we all have it. I don't know one single human being who does not have some pain carried within him. And if one is not capable of facing one's own pain, no way can they face the pain or be present in the face of the pain of somebody else and really help. This is maybe one of the problems, because of course every process of getting to yourself, even if you don't carry an old pain which was created by some happenings in life or whatever, still every moment, every step in the process of growing up, in the process of growing simply as a human being, will also carry some pain. Because every time we grow, we have to leave something behind us. And that's like tearing a part of yourself away, even when we know we have to let go of something. So all these things are actually connected with the process which I'm engaging in with the young people, for those who want that, of course.